guys, Andrew Trout here in the sideboard. I'm here with Tom Ross,
Hey,
your Season 2 Invitational champion and your Season 3 Invitational champion.
Right on.
You're key for this tournament all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I had a bunch of points too, so I got at a large bid, but
all right.
I wish I could play 3 slots out of 16, but had to let a couple guys in, tried to keep Reed Duke out of this tournament, but that didn't work.
Yeah, Reed is not to be denied, but you did your best. We're here to talk about your Legacy deck, and you are playing Infect.
Yep, no surprise.
To the surprise of basically no one. So talk to me a little about this deck. I know this is a deck that we've seen you playing a lot. We saw you play it to the finals of GP New Jersey earlier this year. You won the Invitational with it. But kind of walk us through the card choices. Basically, you have the Infectors here, right?
So yeah, that has 8 Infect creatures. The plan is to use those creatures in pump spells and a lot of small pump spells, not spells, but effects like Noble Hierarch and Pendlehaven to kind of chip away at them, but also has a combo element to it with Invigorate and Berserk.
Okay. And then Noble Hierarch, kind of the split spell of like Mana Accelerant and pump spell, I suppose. The pump spells, 4 Invigorate. Yeah,
Invigorate's also a reason to play the deck. It's nearly a free win condition. If this deck didn't have this card, then it probably wouldn't exist.
Okay.
It makes this deck much better than the modern version. And Invigorate's good because the 3 life should be irrelevant when you're playing a game to win with Infect damage.
Okay.
A couple vines to just protect your creatures. It's kind of like a split card.
Sure.
It's almost like a charm in some way. It also has some utility to stop their effects, some like equipping an Umuzao Jet or something.
Okay. It says that target creature, which can include your opponent's creatures, can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So if they try to equip something or enchant it.
Yeah, it's worded a little bit differently than the hexproof.
Yeah.
In such a way that you can prevent them from doing stuff.
Okay.
It even works against things like elves from the Wirewood symbiote untapping ability.
Okay. And then Berserk. This is kind of like the marquee old pump spell. Like it's the legaciest card in the deck, I think.
Yeah, it is I think the card was banned a little bit a long time ago. It was too powerful with Bald Lightning. And 2 of these and Juggernaut just killed somebody, so it was way unfair.
Way too good.
But yeah, it's a combo with Invigorate to set up a turn 2 kill. Usually try to go Glistener Elf, try to symbol these, maybe with a Brainstorm or something.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a deck that's capable of winning on turn 2 with backup, but it's also a deck that can play a long game.
Okay. One extra pump spell, the Misers become immense.
Yeah, I took the place of the Force Vines of Vastwood.
Okay.
This deck doesn't use the graveyard at all. It took a while before I really wanted Delve cards in this deck because I didn't know if they were necessary. But yeah, that's basically a 1-card kill.
Okay. And then the 1 crop rotation, a little bit of a package there. We'll see your lands later, see what all you can get with that.
Yeah, I played 2 back in the day. I guess back in the day is in like the Invitational.
A couple months ago.
But it's a little bit weaker against a field of Delver and stuff, and I expect a couple of those players.
Okay.
But 1's good. I have another in the sideboard.
All right.
Yeah, it's just I don't have to play many utility cards. It's kind of like shortens the sideboard being able to play this card. It's minus card advantage, but it really frees up some slots.
Yeah.
Like
kind of between Pendlehaven and Inkmoth Nexus, it's basically like a threat / pump spell split card.
Yeah, I have like 1 Bajuka Pog in my sideboard, and that's all the graveyard hate I have.
Gotcha.
But
all right.
that card really opens up the free slots.
Okay. And then Gitaxian Probe, good card.
Yeah, you want to know when you can go for it.
This seems like a deck where the information advantage would be huge.
Yeah. You need to know what cards you can play around.
Okay.
And at worst, it's just cycles.
Need to know if your opponent has things like Force of Will or Daze, for example.
Yeah, optimally, the game ends fast enough where the life loss won't matter.
Okay. So these are basically just like the glue that holds Legacy together. You're a blue deck, you're playing Brainstorm and Force of Will, and I guess not all blue decks play Daze, but...
Yeah, Brainstorm is good. Brainstorm is good in here as any Brainstorm deck can be, with the fetch lands, crop rotation, another way that shuffles. Yeah, I've had many games where I have like 2 lands in my hand and draw Brainstorm, and I'm like Brainstorm and Invigorate and Berserk and a Daze or something. I'm like, wow, that's 1 off nothing.
And then some spice. So Piracy Charm is not news because you've been playing it for a while, but tell us a little about what all this card does in your deck.
The most common mode is giving +2/-1 to an opposing creature, like a Delver Secrets or an elf out of elf decks or a young Pyromancer. But the card basically has four 4 or 5 modes.
Okay.
One is it pitches a force will.
Sure.
I've never used the island walk, but that could be relevant whenever if they have a bunch of tokens or a bunch of ground creatures in play and have
Okay.
Ghost in Row. I've used it as a pump spell. All my creatures have 1 toughness, but in conjunction with Findlehaven or Noble Hierarch, or just another pump spell, it can actually give +2 and be lethal enough. And I've used discard card a lot in
Okay.
grinding matchups. The best way to use it, you know, when like a Miracles player has 0 cards and they're like about to Miracle Terminus, so get out their hand, or Storm player's about to go off, and I get their last card.
Okay.
But
Using it in response to the Miracle Trigger. That's a nice one. I hadn't thought about that.
yeah, it's just a versatile card, but I selected
Okay.
a lot of blue-red Delver, so it made its way in the main deck.
Okay. Couple of Spell Pierces to kind of back up your combo elements. 1 Treasure Cruise. This is a card that most people are on 4 of if they're playing Treasure Cruise. How'd you arrive at the 1 Treasure Cruise?
This deck doesn't run as many cantrips as, say, the Delver decks do.
Okay.
It just has the Brainstorms, some fetch lands. It doesn't run as many fetch lands, and no ponders. This deck likes Delve in small increments.
Okay.
I always like 1 card draw spell in the main deck. It used to be Sylvan Library, but that's in the sideboard now.
Okay.
But I played it in New Jersey, and it was okay.
All right. Cruise, probably a bit of an upgrade. 4 Inkmoth Nexus. You would probably play like 6 or 7 of these if you could.
No, I think I played 4.
Okay. All right. Sure.
I've dabbled
All
with
right.
3. I don't think I've ever wanted more. You really want about 5 colorless lands in the deck, and whenever I sideboard something like Tower of the Magistrate, I always try to keep 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried 3. I don't think I've ever wanted. I'm sure there's metagames where I would want 5, but yeah,
Fair.
you do need your
Your color.
color
now.
land count,
Yeah,
because
okay.
you want green on 1, and you want to have islands for days.
Okay. All right. So some fetch lands. Pendlehaven, of course.
Yeah, it's a card I played 1 of for a while now, Pendlehaven. But if I expect blue-red Delver and stuff, then I want another copy. I had a 9th fetch land, but I really didn't feel like it was necessary.
Okay.
It's nice to have a 9th blue source, but I don't know.
All right. And then 1 of Wasteland. This is a crop rotation target, largely, I suppose.
Yeah, that may not be necessary. It gives me an out to things like Glacial Chasm and Maze of Ith
Gotcha.
and Grove of the Burned Willows. Those probably won't be here, but I mean, it's a wasteland. So.
Yeah. Worst case, you
It
use like
works well with my
Wasteland, sure.
dazes. It kind of sets them off a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I can. A lot of times they leave up one Tundra for a Sword of Plowshares, or 1 Volcanic Island for Lightning Bolt.
Okay.
So I play this, get it, activate my Moth Nexus in combat. And
Gotcha.
it throws off their plans.
Okay. Before we get to the sideboard, I want to talk a little about what kind of metagame you're expecting for this tournament. Because it's a 16-player tournament. You know a lot of the guys that are playing. You could probably have a pretty reasonable prediction of what a lot of them are going to show up with. So, tell me a little about your preparation for this event.
Basically, I'm just playing what I know. What I played
Okay.
at Invitational. I think it's just, since the Invitational was last weekend, there's a really short time frame for anybody to change their deck choices,
Okay.
to really develop new ideas. So I pretty much expect everybody to play what they've been playing.
Okay.
So there's like a few Delver decks, like Rossmere will be on Elves, Jolisette and Reduke probably on Miracles, probably be some Stinking Show and Reanimator. A lot of combo decks.
Okay.
I feel good about my chances playing
right.
this because it works well against combo.
So I assume then you've kind of constructed your sideboard with that in mind. So we'll go through the sideboard cards one by one. 4's a lot of submerges. So what's up here?
I was talking about blue-red Delver, but more specifically, it was 3-color Delver decks. I think Steven Mann and Kent Ketter will be playing 3-color Delver, Rug and Bug, respectively.
Okay.
Then Ross Merriman played Elves. It's just a very high impact card.
Sure.
When it's good. And I think I expect a lot more green creature decks in this tournament than the average open.
Okay. 2 Spell Pierces. That's actually Spell Pierces 3 and 4. So in a field full of, I guess, cantrip heavy decks and combo decks, Spell Pierce is a fantastic card.
Yeah, it's a card I want to get Storm and Miracles, and if somebody shows up with, well, it's good against Sinking Show too, and maybe Logan Mize. He's been playing Omnitel in
Okay.
Legacy, and the card's good against him too.
All right.
I like it better than Fluster Storm because it's actually good against Miracles.
Okay. The 1-of Crossing Grip, just something you got to have access to 1 of, I suppose.
It's good against Umazao Jit whenever they have counters on it, but really it's just a card against Blood Moon, and it's a card I can cast under a Chalice of Void.
Okay.
I don't expect many Chalice of Voids. I used to play 2, but went down to 1 for this tournament.
All right. The 4th Force of Will, 1 Hydroblast, 1 Sylvan Library, which you mentioned already.
Yeah, the 4th Force against combo decks. 1 Hydroblast. You used to play 2, but I don't expect any burn here. So
Okay. And then the 2nd Crop Rotation, and some land spies here. So Bojuka Bog, you said that was your only graveyard hate?
Yeah, it's my only graveyard interaction. No Leyline Void or Surgical Extraction or anything.
All right. And then Tower of the Magistrate. This is a card that probably a lot of the viewers haven't actually seen in action. So tell us a little about what this card does.
It does 2 things. It unequips Immortal Jet and it kills Batter Skull tokens, but
Okay.
it's mostly for the former. Yeah, the best card in Legacy against the deck is the Jet.
Okay. So the way that you use this card is to target your opponent's creatures when they have equipment on them, basically.
Right. It rarely targets bone stuff. It has to be an Aetherborn Canonist in play or something, or Phyrexian Revokers. It's very rare.
All right. And then 1 Nature's Claim and 1 Caracas. So I guess you have another kind of one of to crop rotate up as well.
Yeah, it's good against Reanimator and Sneak and Show. I expect them to be up in some numbers. Sometimes I cut the Caracas from my board, but I think it'll be good this tournament. And Nature's Claim is just diversifying, like a Corrosive Grip kind of effect.
Okay.
Sometimes I just need the effect to be really cheap, and of course the gain 4 life part.
All right.
Doesn't come into play when you're playing an Infect strategy.
All right. So it seems like you've got a pretty strong familiarity with this deck, and certainly a good track record with it. So thanks for coming in and talking to me about it.
Yep.
Good luck tomorrow, man.
Thank you, man.
Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of the Players' Championship here in Roanoke.